Yo, 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 what is going on? IK Familia, it is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and this is the update we have been waiting for. And what I mean by that is maybe not how it necessarily comes off, because this update is important for a few reasons. One, it's important because this is the update that we had always said was the update to look out for on what was going to be included in it based on the community developer meeting that we had, right? To really show us, is this something that we, is this something that we were really making a connection on, or were the developers going to include something from this meeting or anything sizable? Because again, we gave them, right? No, well, I don't know if I should say we gave them, but the realistic expectation was that we really should not have and could not have assumed or hoped really that things would have been added into the 2.0 update. So we looked at 2.1 being more than enough time to prep based on the conversations that we had with the developers to see if and what would even be included. So to me, that's the first thing that stands out. Number two is that for quite a few amount of players, this update could be a make or break for many, just with the general direction and trend that the game and the recent updates have been going in. I think three, when you look at dimension trends, right, even if you just look at, for example, the amount of creators, so to speak, that have been posting content when it comes to the IK, or excuse me, I believe it's IK videos. Where am I even looking at? I think it's IK Creators, right? Is the channel on the official Discord. There really hasn't been a lot of action, right? The amount of video content that's being produced is dying down. Again, not sure. I really haven't been paying attention to like daily talks to see if the volume is still higher or not there. But these are all indicators, right? Just to name some. Without further ado, though, before we dive into the patch 2.1 update, or I should say the patch notes, and I'm going to give you my honest feedback as I always do. Make sure if you enjoy the content, you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description down below. So here we go. Let's see what's in store. Good preface is I have read through the notes briefly. I haven't really done a deep dive on them, so we'll kind of be doing that more or less together here. So patch 2.1, right, is going to be releasing, I believe they said on the 19th. So at least at the time of this video recording, it'll be about 2 days. And the first new feature we're going to have here is a training camp. Right, you can use the training camp to change your units and the external attributes, equipment, artifact, passive skills of your immortals. Then fight trial battles against enemy units recommended by the system. This will allow you to optimize your strategy and immortal development based on the battle results. The various changes made in the training camp will not affect your actual units or troops outside the camp, and no actual costs and losses will result. So unlock conditions, you got to be Castle 18. Okay. How to access. After meeting the unlock conditions, tap the arena to see a new training camp button. Tap the button to enter the training camp, your unit. You can assign any immortals or dragons you own to your unit. You can also equip any equipment, artifact, and passive skills you have, right? Enemy unit. Enemy units are recommended by the system. However, you can select the level bracket of the enemy immortals. Each grade corresponds to a fixed set of parameters, including dragon level, skill level, immortal level, class, star grade, equipment, and artifacts. Okay. So a couple things to point out here. One, I will say I absolutely love this new feature. The training camp. Now, we'll have to see how it works, but the idea of the feature and the mode being included is something that we've asked for a while. So again, this to me, great addition into the game, something that will allow for good thorough testing to be done. However, remember that doing a training camp, in my opinion, is really more so to test, what you kind of view like the end game meta, right? This would be, you're testing, everything at max level, ideally, to really get a good indication of, right, so you're looking max immortal level, skill level, right, at this time, at least before the Conquest update comes out, right, you'd be looking at level 50 for a lot. And then you're looking to try and test against that. Now, yeah, you can make the argument there's some margins here and there, right, where you can test something around 200K versus 205, and, you still can get a good indication on some of the skill usage factors, artifacts, and whatnot, right? So there can be some wiggle room. However, to try and get a more accurate test, you usually want to test a baseline to a baseline. So again, I love the feature. I like the idea behind it. However, with the level cap increases, it makes it so that way it's going to take that much longer to get to your true ideal state of testing for a true meta. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and play out a little bit more here. So we got number 2, optional updates. Starting from patch 2.1, updates will no longer be forced, and you will be able to log in and play the game from older versions of the client. However, older versions of the client will not have access to new game features, so it is recommended that you update the game as soon as possible. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure on this one. I just don't know why there's a need to mention it. Right? Why would someone want to play on an older version just because you don't know what could happen when you're playing against someone on a newer version? Saying that, right, if you want access to new game features, well, I mean, almost anyone does. Unless there's maybe the only thing I could think of would be maybe there's a bug or something that's happening in the new update. So maybe if it's really bad, then you play on the previous version because there isn't anything kind of game breaking. But how does that work if you have people that are playing on that versus those that are not? What's the crossover look like? I mean, these are just some questions and thoughts. But if someone, maybe someone can give me a better reasoning, right, why something like this would be included, let me know in the comments below. Because, this is just what I can go off the top of my head. Number 3, patch notes window. After this update, a patch notes window will be added to the game on the main screen. Tap the log button in the upper right corner to view the latest patch notes in your device's system. Language. You can also claim limited time update rewards in this window. Rewards can only be claimed within 7 days of updating the game. Okay, interesting. Let's see here what we have. I don't think... Is this it? Maybe this is it. We're checking. I think this is it, though. I just have to wait for it to load. So we'll see. I'm not sure if it's... this might be it. It said new, so I'm thinking that this could be it if it loads. However, it's not loading, so that might be normal. If that's the case. All right, we'll come back. But maybe that might be where it is, unless it's going to be a new area. Optimizations. The optimizations in patch 2.1 focus on balance, large scale. So Legion of Frostborn, here we go. Alliance tactics to improve the balance of the game mode. Alliance tactic points are now no longer produced by occupying gnome cities. Instead, they are sent to all alliances in the battlefield upon completing certain Legion of Frostborn Chronicle event. Okay. Alliance tactic points are now no longer produced by occupying. Okay. I guess we'll just have to wait to see. I imagine that the reason they viewed it that way was because you had... there's a few ways I can look at this. One, it could just be that the kingdoms that had a lot of activity, a lot of power, because of the way that the groups were set up, made it so that the stronger kingdoms were able to get more of the gnome cities, therefore more tactic points to use. This is just how it seems to me, right? And to me, this almost seems as though it could be a potential overcorrection, where you'd have to actually see about placing groups in their most balanced state first before you make a change like this. The fact is that we haven't seen groups being matched in a way where it's off of like a true MMR, where you're really matching, like the top group has the 8 strongest kingdoms. The second group has kingdoms 9 through 16, right? Something like that. That to me would be a more accurate way of going about it instead of immediately changing this, unless there's just an overwhelming amount of people that have been asking for the change. That's different. And again, I've been kind of in and out, so, maybe that's the case. I haven't really, I don't know. Again, I haven't necessarily noticed that based on my limited engagement, but maybe some people can clarify a bit more for me in the comments. And that's not to say that I don't think this other way is to say that we shouldn't try testing or that could not be something to test. However, remember that This is not the ideal state in which groups are going to get matched up against, right? You have to kind of wait till you get to Season of Conquest, and then you'll end up finding out how groups are really going to get purely matched. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Legion's Vendor. To make it easier to obtain the new Immortal Fragments and Ability Stones at each season, Ancient Remnants will only provide the newly available Immortal Fragments and Ability Stones of the current season. I actually think this is good. Immortal Fragments and Ability Stones from previous seasons will no longer appear. You will also be able to skip the animation when opening Ancient Remnants. That actually seems like a win, making for a smoother experience. So I actually think this is good. This is kind of similar to what they've done for other games where, depending on the age of a server or kingdom and the groups they fall in, they'll get access to certain resources, materials, and then that way, so they're kind of not ahead or behind any others. However, if the materials and resources are just available for everyone, then that's different. However, if it's also factoring in based on when KVK seasons are going for when you get unlocked new resources and materials, then that's different, right? Maybe they should add something in like that. Alliance Management. Alliance Management with the relevant authority can remove members from the battlefield during the war, making it easier to deal with potential spies. So this, to me, a great addition, right? This is something that people have been asking for since trial season, where we tried to remove people, or I should say Alliance has tried to remove players that were inactive, that maybe got into the Alliance because they wanted to spy and you just couldn't remove them at all. I'm not sure why that was something that was in there where you couldn't remove someone during LOF, but big win here, right? So love this addition. Or I should say love this correction is probably a better way of putting it. Season 2 preview. Lengthened the season advancement period at the end of each Legion of Frostborn from 15 minutes to 72 hours. During this period, the server will remain in the current season in a non-combat status. And all migration restrictions set by Legion of Frostborn will be lifted. However, you must still abide by the season migration rules. Added a preview window to the main screen that displays the countdown. I actually like this, right? It'd be nice if they even added in something where you can select to get notified. I know that's something another Kingdom Builder does. I actually think that's a good idea. But remember, they lengthened the season advancement period at the end of each Legion of Frostborn, right? So this is, again, towards the end. So you actually have now 3 days, which is nice. 15 minutes just seems a little bit too low. However, if they just made it so that way when it ends for everyone, right, then you can just go ahead and migrate there, right? To me, it just seems like it'd be simpler. I'm going to be honest. When you start kind of getting into all this stuff about migration rules and all this, I mean, it's just... I'm going to be honest, man, it's a lot. I think the easiest way to do it is just have baseline migration rules, universal rules across the game for kingdoms, and then let them migrate anytime they want, no matter what. Just make it simple. Really simplify and tone it down a lot. When you start adding in all these restrictions, I'm going to be honest, it's a turnoff. It's too much to read, it's too much to understand, and ain't nobody got time for that. Just be real. Okay, Alliance Calendar. Optimize the Alliance Calendar settings panel. The event editing field has been split into a title field and a content field. Alliance members who enable push notifications will receive event title as a notification. I actually think this is pretty good because now you'll actually get a notification for when an event is going on within the Alliance that you post within that Alliance's calendar. So this is nice. Push notifications. Added a new notification for when Alliance territory taxes reach the maximum. I like this. Optimize the notification for when the Illusion Battlefield Prime League enters an important stage, so you do not miss out on crucial matches. I like this as well. Optimize the server matching rules to improve the balance of Throne of the Supreme. Again, okay, cool, but what are you doing, right? What's the explanation? What are you actually changing? What was the system before, and what is it now? That is important. So again, more details in the notes would, as always, be fantastic for ones that just do not have enough. Barracks. Added attribute bonus data to the soldier attributes panel in the barracks. Any attribute bonuses will be displayed as green text to the right of the soldier's basic attributes, which is the white text. And that's here, right? So these are attribute bonuses that you'll have. This will help you better understand the actual attributes of your soldiers. First recharge. After patch 2.1 goes live, the first recharge event will once again be available to all players with even greater rewards than before. Recharge any amount after the update and earn the right to claim packs daily for 3 days. After claiming a pack, you can claim the next pack for 24 hours have passed. Okay. Sure, why not? Balance adjustments. And this is pretty much almost the last one here, which is we have adjusted Ragnar Lothbrok's ultimate skill before causes physical damage to enemies in an area and increases the physical damage they receive for 6 seconds. If the target is chilled, the value of the physical damage increase debuff is increased by another 20%. Okay, then after it causes physical damage, X factor, to enemies in an area, and increases the magical damage they take. Oh, wow, so they changed this. So it was increase physical damage, increase the debuff of. Now it's increasing the magical damage they take. Instead of increasing the debuff, they're now just increasing magical damage taken that is dished out to them. So it went from physical to now physical magical. Okay. Yeah, you guys will have to let me know about this one. Again, I don't have Ragnar Lothbrok, so if anyone has any thoughts, please let me know in the comments down below and your opinions on the change. And then the last point here is Alliance Tactics, before I get to kind of my summary. Indestructible. This tactic now increases maximum structure strength of thermal towers that are constructed by 5,000 instead of 25,000 points. Yeah, that seems like a lot. And I could only imagine maybe it was just making them too strong. But again, I'm not sure how that plays out specifically. I'd have to see it being used, and then, how many people were there, how long did it take to destroy, what was it used to do, what were some of the after effects. But again, if you've used this in a way where you understand why the change is happening, or you might know why it is, let me know. I'd love to hear as well. Okay. So that is it right now for the 2.1 patch notes. Let me give my summary, my conclusion right now on what it seems. What I will say is this. Even though there are a few good updates that have come from 2.1, we are still missing what I feel to be a lot from this update, from what this update could have been, and in my opinion, should have been. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything needs to be included from the developer community conversation. However, and don't get me wrong, right? The training camp, this was one thing that we talked about, right? So again, it's not as though the 2.1 update or the patch notes is like a complete fail, right? Not saying that. However, these are more so updates, and I'm looking at more of like optimizations, right? People know I'm a big quality of life person. Quality of life is one of those things that can really improve the way that people view playing a game. And what I will say is that I wish there was more optimizations that were added in, right? A lot of ones that I've mentioned to the team, I've submitted to them. I've done previous videos on feedback and suggestion rounds. I think these things are just as equally important when it comes, if not more important, than adding in new features all the time. Again, training camp, this to me is just more of a necessity, right? I view this as more of like a necessary feature that's being added, even though it is titled as a new feature. Again, I'd love to see some more optimizations being done. Again, I'm not sure how any of you feel about the stuff for Legion of Frostborn. Again, I actually view at least the Alliance Management one is great. I'm not sure how others. I mean, I know there's some bugs and some other things. I know they didn't mention that some people have talked about for happening in LOF. I know this update doesn't necessarily address that. Maybe the 2.2 update will. So I would say all in all, I'd say this is an okay to a good update. I just really wish there was more. I think for that reason, it is lacking to me. And it almost kind of comes off as though, it's kind of like they give you an inch, right, but not like the full mile. If I want to reword that phrase, it's kind of like they just threw us a bone, right, and not really kind of giving us the full buffet spread. And that's what I was really hoping for in 2.1. I mean, as I mentioned, the community developer meeting I felt went very well, so much better than I thought it was going to go. And I thought there was a lot of good opportunities to explain things, to say things, to have a conversation. And I don't know. It's weird because, again, it's not like nothing was added, but to me, it's not enough, right? There needed to be a few more things that really showed me that, you know what, okay, we hear you. We understand. We hear the feedback. I mean, bear in mind, we got almost, I don't even know what it was, 750, almost 800 people that came together and signed off on a few of us representing a large group, right? Kind of like a union, saying, hey, we're signing off on this because, we know you guys are going to be the ones to say this, to let the developers know about these things. And again, man, this is okay. It's just, like I said, I personally feel, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but I just feel like it could have been more. And as I said before, as well, I feel as though it should have been more. Right, some more optimizations on the game, some quality of life things added in, some of the bug fixes as well that I know we've heard about for LOF, and I'm sure some other areas. I mean, again, right, the game is getting to a point where there is like an okay amount of things to do in the game right now when it comes to events, that really we just need more things, more tools to be offered in the game to where it'll feel like, because these things are really affecting your everyday play, right? You don't play every event every single day. But what you do in a kingdom is be a part of what's happening in that kingdom every day. So if you allow for more support, more tools, more optimizations for how a kingdom operates on a daily basis, that allows for the level of engagement on a player to increase on a daily basis, right? Instead of just waiting for a new event or the next event to come around, which are not happening every day, right? It's almost kind of thinking about how do you improve one's daily life instead of how do you improve what that person can do when the weekend comes up, right? It's a completely different mindset to look at. And this is what I'm really hoping for. So to me, that's why, again, a little bit of a letdown. Wish there was more. I would love to know, do you feel the same way? Do you think differently? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know anything and everything in those comments down below. That is it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.